Caucasian male engineers load the JBL K2 S9900 enclosure into a multi-physics simulation platform. The software analyzes pressure generated by the approved MDF sheets are transferred into a climate-controlled conditioning room. Spacers separate every layer so air reaches both faces and the material inclinables. The first flat enclosure components of the JBL K2 S9900 manufactured. Measures. The 5-axis CNC machine trims the edges, final height, and joining grooves. A laser camera continuously compensates for After the dry fit passes inspection, robots apply precisely metered adhesive to every joint. Internal braces are installed. Premium natural wood veneer sheets selected for the JBL K2 S9900 are introduced into a dedicated conditioning. Matched veneer pieces are aligned with the planned grain direction and lowered into place. A padded platen applies controlled The Alnico 5DG motor simulation looks stable at high output. Yes, the vented gap cooling shows optimal airflow, and the flange matches the K2 baffle perfectly. The 1500 AL-1 frame for the JBL K2 S9900 is dimensionally complete and structurally rigid. The magnetic linearization parts for the JBL K2 S9900 woofer are ready for assembly. The Alnico motor for the JBL K2 S9900 woofer is magnetized and verified. A controlled multi-layer pulp mixture is prepared in a temperature-regulated tank. Filtration removes contaminants before robots lower the complete moving system into the 1500 AL1 basket and Alnico motor. Centering shims hold the coil precisely. The magnetic field distribution looks stable across the 900 Hz crossover. Yes, and the diaphragm stress is well within tolerance. Specialized magnesium alloy blanks arrive in a controlled material zone. Robots place each blank on a vibration-isolated table, while spectrometers verify composition. Mince rate. Each magnesium diaphragm is held by a very low-force vacuum mixture beneath a laser interferometer.
The 476 mg diaphragms for the JBL Project K2 S9900 have completed their lightweight Aquaplast resonance treatment.
Ultralight aluminum ribbon moves through a controlled tension system and is edge-wound around a 100 mm heat-resistant former to create the 476 mg voice coil.
The 476 mg aluminum voice coils are cured on precision mandrels inside a clean thermal chamber.
The 476 mg neodymium motor for the JBL Project K2 S9900 is complete and magnetized. A stable metal blank enters a micro-precision CNC machine to become the 4-slot coherent wave rapid. A magnesium diaphragm is placed face down on a vibration-isolated optical fixture. Robots apply a very thin bonding line around the diaphragm neck. The 4-slot phase plug is centered. A precision shim establishes the magnetic gap before robots lower the pitchers. A precisely metered sonoglass compound is degassed and injected into large molds to create the upper and lower extension. Preformed 25 mm pure beryllium diaphragms arrive in sealed, impact-resistant containers. They pass through an external decontamination Ultrafine aluminum ribbon for the 045BE1 voice coil enters a clean microcomponent line. A non-abrasive process. The aluminum ribbon coils remain on shaping mandrels and enter a low-temperature stabilization chamber. Gentle thermal treatments. The JBL Project K2 S9900 now has complete 045Bs made from beryllium diaphragm. The diaphragm and coil assemblies enter a non-contact measurement station. Laser scanning confirms that each coil is concentric with the beryllium. Magnetic steel blanks are precision machined into the center pole, top plate, and return path of the 045BE-1 motor. The JBL Project K2 S9900 now has 045BE-1 moving assemblies, motors, and phase plugs. Aluminum alloy is melted and pressure cast into the distinctive center housing that supports the JBL Project K2 S9900 UHS. A degassed sonoglass compound is injected into a precision mold to form the dedicated 045BE-1. Air core copper wire, polypropylene capacitors, power resistors enter incoming inspection. Automated LCR instruments measure capacitance, inductance, and resistance. Polypropylene capacitors for the JBL Project K2 S9900 are measured across many channels for capacitance, dissipation factor, voltage stability, and temperature behavior. The JBL Project K2 S9900 now has all required power resistors and attenuation networks.
The JBL Project K2 S9900 now has a complete HF crossover board for the 476 mg.
The JBL Project K2 S9900 now has complete HF level and presence control assemblies. The rear connection panel receives separate LF and HF binding post pairs. Metal jumpers are fitted between LF and HF terminals for TIDs. Oxygen-free copper wire is automatically cut, stripped, and terminated for every internal JBL Project K2. The JBL Project K2 S9900 has begun receiving internal acoustic treatment. The JBL Project K2 S9900 now has a complete rear base port, terminal, switch, and battery access assembly as a separate part. The HF board for the 476 mgrams and the UHF board for the 045BE1 are installed in separate internal sections.
The JBL Project K2 S9900 now has installed HF level and presence controls and complete internal wiring to all.
The UHF cable connects with correct polarity, and continuity is confirmed. The robot guides the module into the center.
The structure follows the front profile, protecting the 15-inch woofer while preserving the horn system's identity. The model separates into a
retentions. Small metal blanks are turned into grill retention pins, while elastic material is to rubber receiver cups for the JBL.
Digital cutting data from the curved frame guides a low-pressure vacuum cutting table. Acoustic fabric is cut with a precise margin around all edges. The JBL Project K2 S9900 grill frame is placed on a multi-point tensioning fixture. The acoustic fabric is...
Each completed grill is positioned before a reference sound source. Microphones compare output with and without the...
After low power stabilization, the break-in system gradually increases level. The 15-inch woofer reproduces deeper and more dynamic bass.
The listening level increases gradually to evaluate the dynamics, bass authority, and stunning vocal clarity of the JBL Project K2 S9900.